Chapter 3 On the Methods and Manners of Rhubarb. Rhuum rhubarbarum, or rhubarb, is a plant that has enjoyed limited success as a food because it is poisonous. Really, it's true. Look it up if you don't believe me. The rhubarb plant consists of a potato-like bulb that sits in the ground and year after year sprouts stalks that are just like celery, except for being inedibly tough, eye-stingingly sour, and red. The stalks are topped by poisonous leaves. If rhubarb stalks are boiled for a long time, they soften up to the point where they can be eaten by humans without dying, though they are still so sour, the stalks, not the people, that it's like drinking lemonade from which the "aid" part has been removed. Rhubarb's principal use throughout the ages has been as a socially acceptable way to consume vast quantities of sugar, particularly in pies. A long time ago, somebody noticed that a tart flavor mixed with a sweet flavor and wrapped in a pie crust can be very tasty. In the case of rhubarb pie, people mix loads of sugar with boiled, hammered rhubarb stalks to achieve this flavor experience. It's the same idea as cherry pie, except people actually like to eat cherries. The pinnacle of rhubarb's cultural importance came with the invention of the strawberry rhubarb pie. Since rhubarb is almost the same color as cooked strawberries, a strawberry rhubarb pie is a convenient place to hide rhubarb if somebody gives you some and you don't know what else to do with it, provided you don't put in enough of the stalks to ruin the pie, or enough of the leaves to ruin your friends. At certain times in history, rhubarb has been used in medicines, despite having no medicinal value whatsoever. This came about when some people noticed that things we love to eat are often very unhealthy, and so assumed that the opposite should also hold true. This resulted in generations of parents going about forcing their children to swallow things like rhubarb, cod liver oil, and various petroleum products, reasoning that anything people hate that intensely must surely be good for them. Those people are all dead now. People disagree about whether rhubarb is a fruit or a vegetable. It looks like a vegetable and grows like a vegetable, but a New York court ruled in 1947 that it could be a fruit since it was used in pies, establishing an early precedent of denying reality, a policy New York courts have followed ever since. To this day, the controversy of whether rhubarb is a fruit or a vegetable has yet to be finally settled, mostly because no one cares either way. Before he disappeared, Amethyst's father, being the keen visionary that he was, had believed that there was great potential for the underappreciated plant, despite it being poisonous. He was convinced a great rhubarb craze lay just around the corner, and therefore converted the family farm to 100% rhubarb production, so he would be able to corner the market of the up-and-coming rhubarb industry when it arrived. Amethyst and her mother are still waiting for the promised rhubarb mania as we rejoin them in the kitchen/bedroom/dinette conversation already in progress. Amethyst poured the milk into a cracked teacup, then lifted the small basket of limp rhubarb stalks and hooked it over her arm. "Remember to look mournful so they will feel sorry for you and pay a higher price," said Amethyst's mother. "Let me see mournful." Amethyst made a sad face. "Ah!" said her mother. "You want to scare away the peasants? Or maybe you'd better try for a plaintive. Show me plaintive." Amethyst made a sad face. "Much better," said her mother. "You practice that on your way into town. Now off with you, and don't be late for supper, if we have any." Amethyst set off across the dusty yard, past the field of withered rhubarb, and out onto the rutted wagon road, skipping merrily as she went. She worked so hard at her plaintive expression that she was easily the saddest-looking girl ever to skip merrily down a country road. The trees that hung over the road were old and sturdy and threw down large splotches of shade that Amethyst found refreshing. "Achoo!" She was skipping from shadow to shadow, trying to see how far she could go without touching any sunlit spots, when she suddenly heard a sound unlike anything she had ever heard before. It sounded like an animal, but musical. It was as if a horse's whinny had been mixed with wind chimes, and children laughing, and had been released on the morning breeze. Amethyst stopped abruptly, and cupped her unbasketed hand behind her ear. "Hark!" she said. "What in the world can that be?" She looked across a field toward the source of the sound, and there it was. There, at the crest of a perfectly symmetrical hill, illuminated by rays of sunlight streaming through the clouds, as if centered in heaven's attention, in the middle of a patch of wild strawberries stood a tree stump.